Hey everybody, I have here on me the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, and I've been using this phone side by side with the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra and the Huawei Mate X for the past week and a half to 2 weeks now. So I actually already wrote my review of the Z Flip like 3 weeks ago for the South China Morning Post and Forbes, and my conclusion was that even though I like the technology a lot and I really admire what Samsung's doing, this phone ultimately wasn't for me because I wanted my foldable to give me a larger screen. I like that phones like the Huawei Mate X and the Samsung Galaxy Fold, they are basically a tablet that can fold in half to then fit into your pocket. So you have a tablet screen that fits into your pants. The Z Flip, meanwhile, is just a regular size phone that folds up into something like the size of a coaster, a little bit larger than a camera lens, a little bit smaller than a passport. So while having something this petite is pretty nice, this doesn't really bring immediate benefit to my real world usage because this phone fits in my pocket just fine. I don't need this phone here to fold in half. But then I began using the Z Flip more and more over the past week, and I'm really starting to like the phone. Now, I still stand by what I say. I still ultimately would prefer to use the Mate X or the Samsung Galaxy Fold over the Z Flip. But the more I've been using the Z Flip, the more I've come to appreciate this design, and that maybe I was a little bit too harsh at first, that this is ultimately a really damn cool phone. So I want to talk about what I realized I got wrong. So the first thing is what I mentioned 2 minutes ago, the fact that, yeah, this is small, but at the same time, the S20 Ultra and the iPhone 11 Pro Max and even the Mate X fit into my pocket already. But the thing is, even though they fit into my pocket, it is still ultimately like a compromise because I feel like nowadays we have trained ourselves to expect phones to basically take up our entire pocket and almost stick out of the pocket a little bit if the phone is really tall. So using this now and just putting it into my pockets and having it drop all the way to the bottom of the pocket feels refreshing. Not only does it feel more comfortable, but also this isn't at risk of falling out of my pockets when I sit down. Now when the Z Flip is unfolded, you're getting a screen that's still basically 2019-2020 flagship size. Very comparable to this Galaxy S20 Ultra, except it's thinner. So it's easier to grip in my hand because I can wrap my fingers around it easier. Now there is a crease right here which you already know about, but it's only visible under certain angles, see, like that. But when you look at the phone straight on, it is completely fine. Now I do notice that this panel doesn't get as bright as the S20 Ultra's panel. That means it's also not as bright as the Oppo Find X2 Pro's panel. Using this phone outside under the sun, sometimes I struggle to see the screen. I have to step into shade a little bit, which is something I don't have to do anymore with the S20 Ultra or any recent powerful flagship phones from Chinese brands. The chip here is also a little bit older, Snapdragon 855 Plus, but for the most part, it's powerful enough to do anything. I have no complaints whatsoever. So I also like that because of this elongated aspect ratio. When you multitask, like split screen, it actually splits the apps into two perfect squares. And Samsung's UI is pretty easy to use. So I have YouTube open right now, I just tap on Chrome, and just like that, bam, now I get two perfect square screens. They're symmetrical. Now of course if I'm watching a YouTube video, I don't need a full square, so I can drag the bar up a little bit. Now I have more space to read whatever's down below. I can have Chrome, I can have Google Maps. And by now you already know about this phone's one of the standout features. You can prop it up at any angle basically. So this has been pretty useful. I found that when I'm at a coffee shop, I'll just have a video playing like this and I have Twitter down here so I can keep up with the news. And I can sit and eat and drink my coffee while watching YouTube without needing to use a hand to hold up the phone. So even though Z Flip is really thin, battery life on this is pretty impressive. I've been able to get all day battery life, like 12-hour days. I leave the house at 11 a.m. and then by the time I finish, get home at like midnight, that's 13 hours. It still has like 20% battery life. Now there's also wireless charging and fast charging in this too, but it does not charge as fast as the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra or the Oppo Find X2 Pro. Now if I have to complain about the phone, it's the fact that this front screen is just a little bit too cramped. So you see, basically it shows you the time and date, and then if you get a notification, you have to swipe to see it, and then you can tap on it, and then it kind of sometimes will show a couple of words, sometimes it doesn't. So for the most part, the screen is kind of doesn't do that much. I wish Samsung had given us a larger screen like on the Motorola Razr. I mean, imagine if you have a screen that fills up the front. I don't even need the screen to be a real screen that allows me to swipe and go on Instagram. Just enough for me to read WhatsApp messages, read my email. That would be a hell lot better than needing to flip open the phone every time, because this phone is actually pretty hard to flip with one hand. Now the camera performance of this phone is pretty good, but definitely not as good as the S20 Ultra or the Huawei P40 Pro or the Oppo Find X2 Pro. This is an older camera module that Samsung used in the S10. You have a 12 megapixel main camera and a 12 megapixel wide angle camera. There is no telephoto zoom lens, so all the zoom here is digital zoom. You're not going to get anywhere close to the zoom level of this phone. But at the same time, look at the samples here. They are still serviceable. It's just not the best camera around, but definitely good enough to use. So overall, I'm really liking the Z Flip. Now, I'm not going to use the Z Flip over the S20 Ultra or even the Samsung Galaxy Fold. The Samsung Galaxy Fold is still my favorite phone right now, but I definitely can see the appeal of this, and I admit I was initially a little bit wrong. I was a little bit too harsh. So anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.